Thank you and welcome back to Arkive T. This video is about Karmelo Anthony in the picture that is surfacing online as his mugshot. Now, before you drop down in the comments, I just want to reiterate that this is not about the verdict, the trial, or anything in between. It is simply about the photo in which we see here right now. As someone who worked in corrections on 3 different levels, from state to local to federal, there was something about this prison attire in this image that didn't sit quite right with me. So I did what I do. I started asking questions. I started looking online. I even looked into TDCJ's offender handbook. I looked into their intake process. I looked into the Wallace Pack unit, which is a TDCJ facility. I looked at the standard issue TDCJ attire for male inmates, and I looked into the safety smocks, the modesty gowns, and I even asked Google. And based on my experience and the information I personally reviewed, I have come to believe that this image is AI generated. Now, that's my opinion based on my own research and lived experiences. You don't have to agree with me, but just follow me in what I'm showing you. Because it's always fair to ask questions when something don't align with what you know and what you live. One of the first things I learned was that Texas actually has its own correctional manufacturing system through Texas Correctional Industries, or TCI. TCI operates multiple garment production facilities across the state, and inmates manufacture a wide variety of agency-issued clothing and products. So, if I wanted to understand what TDCJ inmates wear, I needed to understand what Texas actually produced and authorized within its correctional system. According to official TDCJ standards and regulations, inmate attire follows very specific guidelines. The materials are regulated, the cuts are regulated, and the sleeves are regulated. And in fact, the regulations describe short sleeve garments as part of the standard issue process and not what we have been seeing. As I continue researching, I couldn't locate any provision for a sleeveless outer garment resembling the one shown in the viral image. So naturally, I considered another possibility. Could this have been a suicide prevention garment? Maybe it was a safety smock. Because as I know in corrections, those garments absolutely do exist. But once I began comparing actual safety smocks to the viral image, I noticed something important. Real safety smocks are constructed completely different. They're intentionally thick, heavily quilted, and designed to prevent tearing and self-harm, and they often utilize specialized materials and closures. And according to TDCJ, they are manufactured through 3 major companies that they outsource these particular garments from. You have Ferguson Safety Smocks, Humane Restraint, and Bob Barker, which we all kind of know about Bob Barker. That ain't no real big secret. And with these garments, they often utilize specialized materials and closures where they are very thick materials. And they are very different from the smooth draped appearance shown in the circulating photograph. I also noticed that some media outlets and online sources describe the image using phrases like sleeveless prison tunic. But despite those descriptions, I was still unable to find any evidence that such a garment exists within TDCJ's authorized inmate inventory. And the more I researched, the more I found a disconnect between the reality of TDCJ standards and the image being shared online. And this brings me to my conclusion. Based on my corrections experience, based on the TDCJ standards I reviewed, based on the manufacturing information available through TCI, and based on the appearance of actual safety smocks used within correctional settings, I personally believe, again, this image is AI generated. And again, that is my opinion based on my own research and lived experiences. This is not about whether Karmelo Anthony is guilty or innocent. This is not about the verdict, and it is simply about the image itself and whether it accurately reflects what a processed in TDCJ inmate would be wearing. My goal here isn't to tell you what to think. The goal is to encourage people to verify information before accepting it as fact, because in today's world, asking questions isn't the problem. Refusing to ask them might be. So you're probably wondering, well, why do I think this is AI generated other than the information that I presented before you? We have to understand that the media is designed and orchestrated to give us images in order to continue to escalate a division. And at some point, we need to use common sense and not emotional thinking. They want everything to be black and white. Us versus them. And as Voodoo Doll TV says, Black Americans versus everybody. Because that's exactly what it feels like. Like everybody is against us. Like I said, this ain't about the verdict or what even happened. We have to start thinking on the lines of, is this information correct that we're being constantly pushed to believe and see? We got to understand that the media is a tool. It's a tool that can be used to sway you one way or another. And sometimes we just got to learn to be still and not get emotionally invested and charged in situations and things that the media constantly push in our faces. Hope what I'm saying you take into some value. And you don't have to believe me, and I don't want you to believe anything that I say. Do your due diligence and do your own research. Because as I know, this image and this attire is not a standard issued uniform across any prison system. They want us to see this image for a particular reason, to get our feelings involved, to get us angry and fighting against one another. At some point, like I said, we got to stop and look and see and check the temperature. Because what they're pushing to us is something that I don't think that we can actually handle.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our
Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about trouble and treatment
irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
Plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Remember, if you put it out there, we gon' read about it. Archive T, baby. Archive T, baby.